Good afternoon, everybody. We are here at Texas in Color, and we are just, oh boy, it's been a long day with the election going on and politics. It's just been, it's been one of those days. I'm just gonna let you know, I'm watching things that's going on as it develops. But we have Casey Thomas here with us this afternoon, I should say. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thanks for the invite.
Okay, let's see how that's doing. All right, so we know what's going on with the election. We're early voting and everything, so it is crazy. So before we get started, introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Casey Thomas, former mayor pro tem and city council member on the Dallas City Council. I served there from 2015 to 2023. A year ago, I was elected as the first vice president of the Texas NAACP, and I was appointed in 2022 as the state political action chair. And so, along with being first vice president, uh, political chair, my job is to work with our local political action chairs and our local NAACP chapters, and to work with many of our partners. Back in 2022, we established a partnership between NAACP and Divine Nine organizations and some of our other Black social service organizations focused around civic engagement, voter registration, voter education, and then mobilizing voters to get out and vote. And so that's what we're focused on. That's a little bit about who I am, born and raised in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, okay. Are there any specific guides or tools available for finding early voting locations and dates in our state?
Absolutely. I suggest anyone who's interested goes to votetexas.gov, votetexas.gov. That's the official website for the state of Texas Secretary of State. There are a number of drop down boxes where you can look and see where's the local polling place. If I want to vote by mail, when is the deadline? How do I track my ballot if I vote by mail? All of that information is available on votetexas.gov.
I'm glad you brought that up. Did the NAACP offer any assistance or education material on vote by mail process?
Actually, what we do is we work with a number of different organizations. One in particular is the League of Women Voters. If there's a League of Women Voters chapter in your particular city, we encourage you to reach out to them. They have voter guides. Here in Dallas, they have paper copies, and then they also have a bookmark that has a QR code. And if you scan a QR code, it will show you the electronic version of that voter guide. The voter guide has every race in your particular county that's on that ballot, from president all the way down to charter amendments. If there's a city that's reviewing the charter amendments, just like the city of Dallas is currently.
Okay. What are the deadlines and requirements for requesting and submitting a mail in ballot?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. I pulled that information up. So if you're interested in applying by mail, today is the deadline. So this timing is perfect. Today is the last day that you can apply or you can request an application to vote by mail or a ballot to vote by mail. So I suggest, if that's something you're looking to do, that today before 5 o'clock, you reach out to your local election department, county election department, and ask them, let them know you would like to receive an application so you can vote by mail.
Okay. What are the resources available to help voters find their polling place on election day?
Yep. Uh, Same website, votexas.org. That website has information in terms of polling sites. You can go to your county election department, and on most county election departments, it will show you where polling locations are here in Dallas County. We have vote centers, which means you can go to any of those locations in the county during the early voting or on election day. And here in Dallas County, we also have on their website, DallasCountyVotes.org, it's a map and it shows you how many people have voted at each of the polling locations, how long the average wait is, if there's a wait. So it provides that information. So if you're somewhere and there are a couple of locations, one where there's a 10 or 15-minute wait or 30-minute wait, then there's another one only a few blocks away with no wait. You can go there, you can get in and get out and get back to work.
So what was that website again?
I was saying, depending upon what county you're in,
Okay.
if you go to that county's website, I'm in Dallas, so we use DallasCountyVotes.org. That's the website for Dallas County. But you can just do a simple search, Google or whatever search engine you use, put in the county that you live in. If it's Harris County Election Department, click that link to the website, and it'll have that information on that website.
Okay, thank you. Are there any NAACP incentive or partnerships to assist voter who encounter issues at a polling location?
Absolutely. We have a 1-800 number. That 1-800 number is available pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 866 our vote or 866-687-8683. Once again, 866 our vote or 866-687-8663. If you have any issues, that's the official election protection hotline. If you have any issues, we've already had a couple of people that reported different things. They went to vote and it didn't say president, or when they went to vote, the candidate that they showed for president wasn't on there. We've had issues where the e-voting book that has all of the list of voters that went down, and they had to take some time and bring it back up. That caused the wait. We've got people who feel intimidated because you have a lot of poll watchers in African-American polling locations in particular. And so if you feel like you're being intimidated, where I went to vote in South Dallas proper, not too far from the Fair Park at the Martin Luther King Center, the Deltas put on a big voting rally and marched to the polls. While I was there, I went and voted, and there were poll watchers who had no pads, were looking, taking, and they can be intimidating to some people. But if you're aware that that's taking place, that's all they can do is watch. They can't say anything to you. They can't ask you any questions. All they can do is stand there, take notes, and watch. But if they go beyond that, I encourage you to call 866 our vote.
You know, I did bring up a point on my show earlier this morning that we got to look out for poll watchers. And I said point blank, you're only going to find them in the minority community. And that's where they're going to be at. And you just addressed that right there. And like you said, don't let them intimidate you. Go vote. Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing I encourage anybody who is not going to vote, go ahead and print out a sample ballot. You can take that ballot in with you. You can't take your phone in, and you can't use your phone. But what you can do is you can go and print a sample ballot, and you can go to your local election department's website, put in your address, and it will show you what the sample ballot would look like. Print that sample ballot, fill it out. That way, once you get there, you're not having to think about, okay, who am I going to vote for? You've already checked off the names or circled the names. And when you walk in, it's just a matter of looking at that sheet, because they will allow you to take that in with you. Yes. And then just using the machine and voting. Two things I caution people to do. One, once you've gotten to the end of the ballot, hit that review button. Go back through and look at it and make sure the candidates that you wanted to choose are the ones that are showing up. Once you've done that, then go ahead and print your ballot. Once you get the ballot printed, read over the ballot to make sure what you chose, those candidates that you chose, are the ones that come out on that ballot. Yeah. Then the last thing I suggest you do is, once you go to actually take your ballot, slide it and drop it, wait until you hear it drop. Once you hear it drop, that's how you know your vote actually counted.
Yes. Okay. Um, can the NAACP provide information on how they can protect their rights on election day?
Absolutely. We're working very close with the uh, LDF, which is the Legal Defense Fund. They have been doing election protection training for months now. And so on election day, there will be a lot of volunteer attorneys that will be out on polling sites. They'll be out there doing poll monitoring, which is different from poll watching. Poll monitoring is on the outside of the voting 100 feet voting area, 100 feet away from the polls, and poll watching is on the inside. Poll monitoring on the outside, poll watching on the inside. That's the main difference in the two.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Okay, what steps is the NAACP taking to prevent voter suppression, and how can a voter get involved?
Well, really, it depends upon what you define as voter suppression. There was a Supreme Court, no, there was a court ruling because there was a case, there was a law that was passed called SB1. Well, part of SB1 was challenged in court, and some of it was ruled out as it relates to assisting people to vote, as it relates to mail-in ballots. Some of the things that were very restrictive have been overruled, but unfortunately, because it was just the other day, matter of fact, it was last Saturday to be the 12th, Saturday the 12th to be exact, some of that information and the fact that this ruling had taken place, people may not be aware of. So we want to make sure people know. If you have any questions, call 866 our vote. That's why that hotline exists for anyone who has any questions. If you're actually in there to vote at the polling location, you have received your ballot, and for some reason something just feels off kilter, or if you're there and they say they can't find your name, go ahead, stop, step out, call 866 our vote, let them know what's going on, and they can offer you some assistance to when you go back in, you're better informed on how to make sure that you can get your ballot, you can actually go and vote, and your vote will count. Many election judges, I was one, will have you to vote a provisional ballot. But let me tell you about provisional ballots. Provisional ballots only are counted when there is a tie. That's when provisional ballots are counted. Otherwise, provisional ballots, you get to vote, but your vote is not counted in the final count. So make sure when you go and vote, if they say, hey, we're not showing you here, but we will let you vote a provisional ballot, tell them thank you, but no thank you. I will be back. Step outside, call 866 our vote, let them know what's going on, and they will tell you what you need to do to make sure you have the opportunity to vote. And that's another reason why we ask people go early,
Yeah.
vote early, because if you decide to wait till election day and you have that issue, then it may not be able to get resolved that night. You may be told, you know what, go ahead and vote a provisional ballot. Your vote did count, but it will not be counted unless there is a tie.
Oh man, that is good to know. I'm, that makes a lot of sense. And in other words, be prepared when you go up there, when you go vote. I posted something earlier here in Bear County on the things they needed to go vote, and just everything on there. The curbside and that's very important. The curbside voting, because a lot of people didn't know they could do that. I was blown away when they told me, well, you're disabled and you got it, and nobody told you when you with your walker, you could have sit out in your car. No, they didn't say anything. Well, you can now. It's usually two spots we mark. And there's a phone number out there. You call that phone number, somebody come out. And I said, the best thing about it is this: if there's other people in the car with you, they could take them to front of the line and vote while you vote there. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't know anything about that either.
Absolutely. Curbside voting is available for individuals who are unable to go in and vote in the polling location. All you have to do is let someone know when you pull up. If it's person who is in the passenger seat, the driver can pull right up to the curb, hit the hazards, walk in, and let a clerk know that, hey, I have someone who needs to vote at their car, and they will bring the ballot out to you and give you an opportunity to vote right there, curbside.
Okay. All right. So, what is the best way for voters to report any issues they experience on election day?
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it over and over until people remember it. 866 our vote. Any issues you have when you go to the polls, call that number. Let them know where you are. Let them know what happened, and they will give you advice on what you can do. Because the ultimate goal is for you to be able to go and vote and for your vote to count. Nothing else really matters. If you have an issue initially, you step out, call 866 our vote. They're able to provide you some insight that's going to help you be able to get your vote, make your vote, and make your vote count. Then that is the ultimate goal.
So let's get back and talk about intimidation. When they show up there, some people know they feel threatened by just the way they're there watching them and stuff. And I gotta remind everybody, they're gonna throw everything out there at you to discourage you from voting. And you can't report them. If you feel threatened, from what I gather, you can't call the police. And they'll come out.
Right. But something people need to know is during the early voting and on election day, that election judge, not the clerk, but the judge, has the same authority as a judge in a court. So if there are any issues, ask the clerk to go get the judge. Tell the judge what's going on. Now, if it escalates to the point to where you need to get law enforcement involved, you can. But that judge is the authority at the polling location for that day. That is their responsibility to address whatever concern. If, for instance, you have a poll watcher and they're being a little aggressive, they're actually asking the voter questions, that voter can ask for the election judge. They can report what happened, and that election judge can put that poll watcher out.
Yes, and you're right about that. They could put them out with no questions asked, but they have to turn around and report to the local office. This is what you did with the poll watcher. Is that correct?
Yes. Documentation beats conversation.
Yes.
You got to be able to document what has taken place, because if you don't document it, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Now, I just got word a few hours ago. This is the first I ever heard, because I'm an election judge here in Bexar County. We had one election official, clerk. This guy turned around and I don't know, he assaulted them. They didn't come out with all the information what's going on, because it's ongoing investigation. And what they put out is wait in line, go ahead and go vote. You shouldn't talk about politics. You don't know who you're talking to. And the way the climate is right now, it don't take much for people to go off.
Now, where did you say this took place? I mean, physically, not just in San Antonio, Bexar County, but where at the polling location did this take place?
They didn't say the polling location, but it was here in San Antonio.
Okay. So depending upon what the incident is, and if it's not at a polling site, then you definitely need to get law enforcement involved. If it is at the polling site, then that's when you let the election judge know. Now, if they're depending upon what the incident is, you can still call 800 our vote. You can still call that number that I gave you. However, if it's outside of the polling location, I suggest you just go ahead and call law enforcement.
And speaking about, they were talking about security wise right there. everybody's on pins and needles. We know that it's showing out there. But a lot of the places to vote at throughout the state, the law enforcement is they know about what's going on. And we were told they're no more than 2-3 minutes away if something happens. They're trying to disrupt the voting situation altogether. And I agree with you 110%. Go out and vote early. That way you don't have to deal with it on election day. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't discount how important it is to have those attorneys out at those polling locations, and most of them have something on that'll say, poll monitor or something about election protection. Look for those individuals out at the polling sites and feel comfortable going up to them and letting them know if something happened that you feel is unlawful, any kind of intimidation. But be ready to give them documentation and facts, because that's the only thing that's going to support whatever it is that you say has taken place.
Yeah. I got one last question for you. Does the NAACP have a hotline or specific reporting mechanism for voter suppression or election-related problems?
Once again, 866-OUR-VOTE, 866-687-8683. That is the hotline for any voting irregularities, any type of perceived voter intimidation, anything that you feel that is unlawful that takes place. If a name is missing off your ballot, once you put your ballot into the machine and you're looking and you're getting ready to choose different candidates, stop right there. Call an election clerk over and let them know, hey, such and such is not on my ballot. And they will give you they call it spoiled ballot, which is in this case a good thing. The spoiled ballot will allow you to be able to get a fresh new ballot and be able to vote.
Yes. When you brought up ballot, one thing took place in our training that they changed the way how ballots are. Not that much change, but all the ballots are pre-counted. And you pick and choose a ballot you want, and they'll grab that ballot and get it printed for it and give it to you. And I was told the reason why they did that, some city in South Texas claimed they found out how they could see how that person voted for, what party they voted for, and all that. I don't know how they did it, but that's the way of doing it. Yes, it does slow the process down a little bit, but not that much. You pick your ballot, they print it and give it to you, you go on your merry way. The only thing I see is being, if it's a long line out there, I haven't heard about it yet, but I will almost guarantee somebody can say, well, why I got to pick a ballot? What's wrong with these ballots? What's going on? It's going to be somebody's going to hold up the line on how they doing things nowadays.
Well, I mean, the fact that they're allowing you to pick your own ballot, I think that's a good thing. It's not like someone is just handing you a ballot, and the ballot they hand you, if it's missing information, then you begin to be skeptical about the person. But if you pick the ballot, hand it to them, then they give it back to you, then that's your ballot. That's the ballot that you chose. If there's an issue with that ballot, then you can address it with the election clerk or the election judge. But that is your ballot that you handpicked to be used for you to vote.
Yeah. Wow, man. Well, I am praying that we have a safe election and everything goes timely. And the best thing I'm hoping for that all the results were in that night, not 2-3 days down the line. So that's what I'm looking forward to. You want to share anything, any advice with anybody in closing?
Well, the one thing we have not talked about is voter mobilization.
Oh, okay.
And this weekend is the NAACP statewide weekend of action, where on Saturday we'll have NAACP members and chapters all over the state of Texas, youth and college and adult, out knocking on doors, making phone calls, texting, doing all the things necessary on Saturday to get people out to vote. Then on Sunday, we're encouraging our faith community and our pastors and our ministerial leaders to encourage their members to, souls to the polls immediately after service for them to go and vote. Hopefully some churches are polling locations. So as soon as you get a benediction or whatever it is for your faith, then you can go and vote. So that's what we're pushing real heavy. I'm looking at the numbers every day. They started off really strong on Monday here in Dallas County. They were pretty high on Tuesday, about the same on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it was a little less. And then yesterday, we had a drop off of about 14,000 votes. High was around 60,000. Well, I'm going to say 56,000. And so we want to continue to encourage people, especially with this being the only weekend of early voting, to take advantage of the weather, get up, go ahead, vote, get it out the way. It won't take you that long, and you have done your civic duty.
I think the last numbers I looked up in Dallas, y'all are almost hitting 200,000 that voted since Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last numbers I seen. And in Bexar County, we're at 160 something thousand, if I'm right. And as a matter of fact, each day is record breaking here in Bexar County for early voting.
That's good. Keep it up. As we're telling people, because as we get ready to go into the weekend and then starting next week, because we have a whole another week of early voting that goes until Friday, we start to see a drop off on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we see an uptick around Thursday, and then Friday, people are just running. The numbers are extremely high because that's their very last chance to early vote, because they do not want to be caught on election day and get out there and some come up and they don't get a chance to vote.
Yeah, somebody just sent a message saying Bowie County had 11,000 already that went through there. And somebody said also one other thing to also, before you cast and submit your ballot, review it to ensure that your section is reflected on your printed ballot.
That's what I was saying earlier. Before you submit that ballot, review it before you even print it. Review the ballot, everything on the ballot. Make sure what you chose is chosen. Make sure you don't have any blanks where you didn't choose to make a blank. Print that out, read it, and then slide it into the machine for it to be tabulated.
Yeah. Okay, man. Man, that was a lot of good information right there that everybody needs to know. And we keep on pushing it. You've got the early voting. We still need to keep on doing things like you said need to be done, because we got a little over a week before everything is over with. Oh, one thing I want to talk to you about. Have you heard anything about overseas people having problems with their getting the absentee ballots?
Only through the news. I have heard there are some challenges. There are some court challenges regarding individuals voting overseas. However, I think if people follow the process that they followed in the past as it relates to overseas voting, they'll be fine and their vote will be counted.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, I appreciate you coming on, Mr. Thomas, and taking your time out for this. And we're going to talk to you a little bit more after the election to see how things went up in your area.
Hey, thanks for the invite. It's been a pleasure. And if you're with the NAACP, or if you're going to be participating in our weekend of action, we're asking people to use for all the take plenty pictures and post them on social media, and use the hashtag Texas NAACP all in. All in was the theme for our national convention. And so we want to make sure people understand that we are definitely all in.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. All right, sir. You take care, and we'll talk to you down the line.
Excellent. You do the same.
All right. Thank you. All right. We had it right there. He was telling us everything that was going on, especially about the provisional ballot. I got some right here. Absentee voter also can call the protection hotline. Yes, that is so true. That was Sabrina right there. We got Blue Wave on here and a few others. We appreciate everybody taking the time out, coming on for this right here, because I mean, I tell y'all personally, I learn something new every time I have a guest on. It's just amazing some of the stuff out there that we don't know about. And it's coming to the forefront right now. And I'm glad we're getting this out before the election and during early voting. All right. This is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget, get out and vote. Thank you for watching Texas in Color. Please tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you'll be notified each and every time we go on live.